The first warning came as a whisper of light at the edge of the solar system. Dr. Sarah Chen squinted at the holographic display, her fingers hovering over the communication panel. The International Space Observatory had been tracking an anomaly for weeks, but nothing could have prepared them for what was about to unfold. Massive ships emerged from the darkness of space, their metallic surfaces absorbing and reflecting light in ways that defied natural physics. Each vessel was larger than entire cities, casting enormous shadows across the lunar surface. The monitoring systems around the world began to scream with alerts, digital warnings cascading across screens in research centers, military bases, and government facilities. In the control room, silence hung heavy. Technicians and scientists stood frozen, watching as the impossible became reality. Dr. Chen's hand trembled slightly as she initiated the Global Emergency Communication Protocol. Her voice, carefully controlled but with an underlying tension, broke through communication networks worldwide. Unidentified vessels approaching. Confirmed multiple large-scale objects. This is not a drill. Thousands of miles away, in a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, military strategists sprang into action. General Michael Rodriguez studied the incoming data, his decades of strategic experience tested by a scenario no war college had ever imagined. The ships moved with a precision that suggested intelligence far beyond human comprehension. Initial scans revealed technology that seemed to laugh at human understanding. Quantum communication systems flickered between dimensions. Propulsion methods ignored known laws of physics. These were not just advanced ships. They were something entirely beyond human technological comprehension. Satellite networks began to capture more detailed images. The ships were not uniform in design, but seemed to share a core architectural philosophy. Intricate geometric patterns covered their surfaces, shifting and changing like living mathematics. Energy signatures spiked and dipped in patterns that suggested a form of communication far more complex than any human language. At the European Space Agency headquarters in Paris, Dr. Elena Kapoor assembled her team of astrophysicists and xenobiologists. They had spent years preparing theoretical models for first contact, but nothing in their wildest predictions came close to the reality unfolding before them. "We need to understand their intent," Dr. Kapoor muttered, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "Are they approaching for communication, or is this an invasion?" The global scientific community worked with unprecedented speed and collaboration. Universities around the world redirected every available resource to analyze the incoming data. Supercomputers processed information at rates that would have been impossible just months before. The threat of an unknown alien presence had done what decades of political negotiations could not. It had united humanity. Military installations worldwide went to maximum alert. But this was not the military response of past conflicts. Soldiers worked alongside scientists, programmers, linguists, and communication experts. Every discipline became a potential weapon of defense or understanding. In orbit, the first communication attempt came. A signal burst across multiple wavelengths, a complex mathematical sequence that seemed to pulse with an almost living intelligence. Dr. Chen and her team worked frantically to decode the transmission, knowing that every second counted. The signal was unlike anything in human communication records. It contained mathematical principles, spatial coordinates, and what seemed to be a form of visual language that existed simultaneously across multiple dimensions. Some team members believed it was a greeting. Others saw it as a warning. A few suspected it might be something far more complex. A test. As the ships continued their approach, the world watched and waited. Major news networks broadcast the incoming data. Social media exploded with speculation, fear, and an underlying current of human curiosity. People around the globe felt something fundamental was about to change. General Rodriguez looked at the latest satellite images and felt a chill run down his spine. These ships were not just approaching. They were positioning themselves with a strategic precision that suggested only one thing. They were preparing for something big. The first contact was moments away. Humanity held its collective breath, suspended between terror and anticipation. Whatever was coming would change everything forever. The world transformed overnight. Conference rooms that once hosted diplomatic standoffs now became nerve centers of global cooperation. Representatives from rival nations sat shoulder to shoulder, their previous differences evaporating in the face of an unprecedented threat. In a secure facility beneath Tokyo, a unique team assembled. A young programmer from India named Raj Mehta had discovered something extraordinary. The alien communication signals contained complex mathematical patterns that seemed to pulse with an almost living intelligence. What began as a late-night coding project quickly became a critical line of defense. Raj's breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Years of playing complex strategy games had trained his mind to see patterns others missed. As he worked, computer screens around him filled with cascading lines of code, each algorithm a potential weapon against the unknown invaders. Across the Pacific, a research team in Silicon Valley began repurposing communication satellites. What were once tools for global communication now became part of an intricate defense network. Engineers who had previously competed for market dominance now worked as a single, unified team. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a quantum physicist from Argentina, made her own remarkable discovery. The alien ship's energy signatures contained quantum entanglement patterns that defied current scientific understanding. Her team worked around the clock, translating these patterns into potential defensive strategies. The military response was equally transformed. General Michael Rodriguez coordinated with international defense chiefs through a newly established global command center. Gone were the days of national military secrets. Every piece of intelligence, every technological insight became shared resources. A research facility in Cape Town became a pivotal point of collaboration. Biologists, engineers, and communication experts worked together to understand the alien technology. Dr. Amara Okonkwo, a brilliant systems biologist, began exploring how the invaders' communication might parallel biological network systems. It's not just technology, Dr. Okonkwo explained during a global video conference. These signals have a complexity that resembles neural networks. They're communicating in ways we've never imagined possible. Universities worldwide redirected their entire research capabilities. Doctoral students who were weeks away from defending dissertations now found themselves on the front lines of humanity's greatest challenge. Libraries of academic research became war rooms of scientific strategy. In Berlin, a team of linguists and mathematicians worked to decode the alien communication patterns. They discovered the signals contained multiple layers of meaning, each transmission a complex puzzle that required interdisciplinary thinking to unravel. The global internet transformed. What was once a system of information sharing became a real-time collaborative defense platform. Crowdsourced analysis groups formed within hours. Gamers, programmers, scientists, and enthusiasts from every corner of the globe shared insights and theories. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A group of high school students in Brazil created an advanced machine learning algorithm that could predict potential communication patterns in the alien signals. Their work, shared instantly across global research networks, provided critical insights that professional researchers had overlooked. The economic response was equally unprecedented. Manufacturing plants retooled overnight. Companies that once competed now shared resources, technologies, and production capabilities. The global economy restructured itself into a unified defense mechanism. Space agencies from multiple countries combined their satellite networks. What were once competing national programs now became a single integrated observation system. Every piece of data was shared, analyzed, and integrated in real time. Communication networks expanded beyond traditional boundaries. Research teams established secure communication channels that bypassed national infrastructures. Information moved faster than ever before, with each discovery building upon the last. Dr. Rodriguez looked at the global collaboration map. What she saw was more than just a defense strategy. It was a fundamental reimagining of human potential. Barriers of language, culture, and national identity were dissolving in the face of a greater challenge. As the alien ships continued their approach, humanity was transforming. No longer a collection of separate nations, they were becoming something else entirely. A single, adaptive organism ready to face the unknown. The great collaboration had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The alien invasion challenged every preconception about human defense. What the extraterrestrial forces expected was a traditional military response. Instead, they encountered a defense that emerged from the most unexpected corners of human society. Dr. Marcus Rodriguez stood in his marine research laboratory, surrounded by equipment that moments ago had been used to study ocean ecosystems. Now those same tools would become humanity's unexpected weapon. His team had discovered something remarkable about sound propagation in complex biological systems. Years of studying whale communication had taught them about intricate acoustic networks. The marine biologists realized that the aliens' communication systems might be vulnerable to specific sonic frequencies. What began as pure scientific research now became a potential line of defense against an interstellar threat. In community centers and local workshops, makers and inventors began their own resistance. A retired automotive engineer in Detroit repurposed industrial cooling systems into potential electromagnetic disruption devices. A group of high school robotics club members developed micro-drone swarm technologies that could potentially interfere with alien tracking systems. The art community became an unexpected front line of psychological defense. Musicians, digital artists, and performers began creating content designed to challenge and confuse the alien communication patterns. They approached the invasion as a complex psychological challenge, not just a technological one. Linguists and communication experts worked around the clock to understand the alien signal patterns. Dr. Elena Kapoor's team discovered that the invaders' communication relied on complex mathematical sequences that assumed linear problem-solving. Human creativity, by contrast, was fundamentally non-linear and unpredictable. "They're expecting us to respond in patterns," Dr. Kapoor explained during a global briefing. "Instead, we'll give them chaos, pure, beautiful human unpredictability." Indigenous communities around the world contributed unique perspectives. Traditional survival techniques, passed down through generations, provided insights into adaptive strategies that modern military thinking had overlooked. Survival skills from the Amazon rainforest, Arctic tundra, and African deserts became critical knowledge. In the mountains of Nepal, a group of climbers developed lightweight communication systems that could operate in extreme conditions. Their expertise in surviving hostile environments translated directly into resistance strategies against the alien invasion. Agricultural experts began studying the invasion from an ecological perspective. How do complex systems adapt to sudden, massive disruptions? Their research provided critical insights into resistance strategies that went far beyond traditional military thinking. The global gaming community emerged as an unexpected tactical resource. Years of strategy games and complex simulation experiences had trained millions of people in adaptive problem-solving. Online communities developed real-time tactical analysis, sharing insights faster than traditional intelligence networks could process. A research team in Singapore discovered that the alien technology seemed to struggle with chaotic input systems. They began developing communication disruption techniques that introduced deliberate randomness into signal networks. It was a fundamentally human approach, using creativity as a weapon. Psychological warfare took on a new meaning. Instead of traditional propaganda, humanity began broadcasting its most complex cultural expressions. Music that defied simple rhythmic patterns, art that challenged linear perception, mathematical proofs that demonstrated the beauty of human abstract thinking. The invaders had calculated technological superiority. They had not calculated human spirit. Small communities around the world became centers of resistance. A group of programmers in Lagos developed communication jamming techniques. Artists in Buenos Aires created visual languages designed to confuse alien perception systems. Scientists in Seoul analyzed the invaders' technology from perspectives that defied conventional analysis. Dr. Rodriguez's marine sound research proved particularly promising. By modifying whale communication techniques, they developed a sonic system that could potentially disrupt alien communication networks. It was a weapon born from years of pure scientific curiosity, now pressed into service to defend the planet. As the alien ships continued their approach, humanity revealed its true nature. Not a single predictable system, but a complex, adaptive network of creativity and resilience. Every profession, every skill, every perspective became a potential defense. The unexpected defenders had assembled, and they were ready. The manufacturing floors of the world transformed overnight. What were once assembly lines for consumer products became rapid prototyping centers for humanity's defense. 3D printers worked around the clock, producing components that defied traditional military engineering. In a converted warehouse in Detroit, a team of engineers and designers worked with frantic precision. Sarah Kumar, a mechanical engineer with experience in adaptive robotics, looked at the growing array of experimental devices. Renewable energy systems were being reimagined as defensive shields. Agricultural drones became sophisticated reconnaissance vehicles. The global supply chain, once a complex network of international commerce, now operated as a unified defense mechanism. Microchip manufacturers in Taiwan collaborated with software developers in India. Automotive plants in Germany retooled to produce advanced communication jamming equipment. Every industry became a potential weapon of resistance. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's quantum research team made a breakthrough that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. They discovered a method to manipulate quantum entanglement that could potentially disrupt the alien technology's core communication systems. What began as theoretical research now became a practical defense strategy. Universities transformed into research and development centers. Laboratory equipment that once explored theoretical concepts now sought practical applications for planetary defense. Graduate students worked alongside seasoned researchers, their fresh perspectives challenging established thinking. In Silicon Valley, a group of software engineers developed an adaptive artificial intelligence system designed to predict and counter alien technological approaches. The system learned and evolved with each new piece of data, creating a defense mechanism that could think and respond in real time. Renewable energy research took on new significance. Solar panel technologies were modified to create electromagnetic interference fields. Wind turbine designs were adapted to generate complex sonic disruption patterns. Every green technology became a potential defensive tool. A breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A team of environmental scientists repurposed climate monitoring equipment to detect and analyze the alien ship's energy signatures. Their atmospheric monitoring stations became early warning systems with capabilities far beyond their original design. Manufacturing centers in China developed lightweight, adaptable protective gear. Textile researchers created materials that could change properties in response to external energy signatures. What was once sportswear technology became a potential defense against alien scanning systems. The medical research community contributed in unique ways. Biotechnology labs developed adaptive communication blocking techniques based on cellular defense mechanisms. Immunology research provided insights into how complex systems resist external threats. Robotics teams around the world collaborated on developing autonomous defense systems. Drone technologies evolved at an unprecedented rate. Small, adaptable units could now operate in swarm formations, creating dynamic defensive networks that could respond to threats faster than any centralized system. Agricultural technology became a critical defense resource. Precision farming equipment was modified to create complex ground-based communication interference patterns. Irrigation systems became potential early warning networks. Every piece of existing technology found a new purpose. Space agencies contributed their most advanced tracking and communication technologies. Satellite networks were repurposed to create a global defensive grid. Communication systems developed for deep space exploration now became tools for understanding and countering the alien threat. The International Space Station became a critical observation point. Researchers aboard the station collected data that provided unprecedented insights into the alien ship's technological capabilities. Every orbit brought new discoveries, new potential defensive strategies. Transportation technologies underwent radical transformation. Electric vehicle charging networks became potential communication relay points. High-speed train networks were modified to create ground-based defensive infrastructure. Shipping container systems became mobile communication jamming units. Dr. Kumar looked at the rapidly evolving defensive network and saw something remarkable. This was more than a military response. This was a global reimagining of human technological potential. Every industry, every field of study had become part of a unified defense strategy. As the alien ships continued their approach, humanity revealed its most powerful weapon. Not a single technology, but a global network of innovation. Adaptive, creative, and utterly unpredictable. The innovation explosion had begun, and the invaders had no idea what was coming. The landscape of resistance defied everything the alien invaders expected. Mountains, cities, remote villages, each became a potential battleground where humanity's spirit of survival transformed ordinary spaces into extraordinary defensive networks. In the high mountain valleys of Tibet, a community of monks and local farmers developed an intricate communication system that relied on centuries-old signaling techniques. Wind-powered prayer wheels became sophisticated signal relays. Traditional knowledge merged with modern technology in ways the aliens could never have predicted. A network of marine researchers in the South Pacific transformed their research stations into observation points. Underwater communication systems, originally designed to track marine life, now monitored alien ship movements. Fishing boats became impromptu reconnaissance vessels, their crews trained in gathering critical intelligence. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, indigenous communities shared survival techniques that became crucial defensive strategies. Their intimate knowledge of camouflage, resource management, and adaptive living proved invaluable. Local tribes created communication networks that moved faster and more silently than any technological system. Urban centers became living, breathing defensive organisms. In Tokyo, a group of architects and urban planners developed building-scale defensive systems. Skyscrapers could now reconfigure their external structures to create electromagnetic interference. Public transportation networks became mobile communication hubs. Dr. Elena Rodriguez coordinated a global network of resistance cells. Each group brought unique perspectives and capabilities. A team of programmers in Kenya developed communication encryption methods based on local linguistic patterns. Researchers in New Zealand adapted agricultural monitoring systems to track alien energy signatures. The global hacker community emerged as an unexpected frontline of defense. What were once considered disruptive technologies now became critical tools of resistance. Communication networks evolved faster than the aliens could track or understand. Every attempt to infiltrate human systems was met with layers of adaptive defense. Mountain communities in Peru created intricate early warning systems using a combination of traditional observation techniques and modified communication technologies. Local knowledge of terrain and weather patterns provided insights that satellite systems could not match. In the deserts of Australia, remote research stations became critical observation points. Solar-powered communication systems developed for extreme environments now tracked alien ship movements. The harsh landscape that had once seemed inhospitable became humanity's strategic advantage. Arctic research teams developed cold-weather adaptive technologies that challenged the aliens' understanding of survival. Their communication systems could operate in conditions that would disable most technological networks. Each research station became a potential defensive stronghold. Universities transformed into resistance training centers. Students from every discipline contributed unique insights. Anthropology students analyzed potential alien communication patterns. Engineering students developed adaptive defensive technologies. Medical researchers explored potential biological defense mechanisms. Local communities became the true heroes of the resistance. In small towns and large cities alike, People found ways to contribute. Neighborhood watch groups became intelligence networks. Community centers transformed into communication hubs. Every individual became a potential defender. The resistance moved in ways that defied traditional military thinking. It was not a top-down strategy, but a bottom-up network of adaptation and survival. Each community developed its own unique approach, creating a defense system that was impossible to predict or counter. Marine biologists in coastal regions developed underwater detection systems. Agricultural experts in the Midwest created ground-based energy detection networks. Artists developed communication techniques that could pass undetected through alien scanning systems. Dr. Rodriguez watched the global resistance network grow. What she saw was more than a defensive strategy. It was a fundamental reimagining of human potential. Borders disappeared. Cultural differences became strengths. The entire planet was becoming a single adaptive organism. Communication became humanity's most powerful weapon, not through advanced technology, but through the ability to share, adapt, and respond. Each community, each individual became a node in a global network of resistance. The aliens had expected a traditional military response. Instead, they encountered something far more dangerous: a global network of human creativity, resilience, and unexpected capability. Resistance without borders had begun, and humanity was just getting started. The critical breakthrough came with a suddenness that surprised everyone. Dr. Elena Kapoor's research team had been working for weeks, analyzing the quantum signatures of the alien technology. What began as a theoretical exploration became humanity's most powerful weapon. In a secure research facility deep beneath the Andes Mountains, scientists from around the world collaborated on a project that defied conventional understanding. Quantum entanglement, once a complex theoretical concept, was now a practical tool of planetary defense. Dr. Kapoor's breakthrough came from an unexpected intersection of disciplines. Quantum physicists worked alongside linguists, trying to understand the communication patterns of the alien technology. They discovered that the invaders' communication system relied on a form of quantum information transfer that had a fundamental weakness. It's not just technology, Dr. Kapoor explained during an emergency global conference. It's a form of communication that assumes a linear, predictable response. Humans don't work that way. The global research network sprang into action. What had been isolated research efforts now became a coordinated global strategy. Universities, research centers, and independent labs shared every piece of data in real time. The aliens' technology, so advanced it seemed incomprehensible, began to reveal its vulnerabilities. A team of mathematicians in Cambridge discovered that the alien communication system could be disrupted by introducing complex, nonlinear mathematical sequences. What seemed like random noise to the alien technology was actually a sophisticated form of communication that the invaders could not decode. Military strategists worked alongside theoretical physicists to develop a coordinated response. General Michael Rodriguez oversaw a global defensive strategy that combined technological innovation with psychological warfare. The goal was not just to defend, but to completely confuse the alien communication networks. Satellite networks around the world began to transmit a series of complex signals. Mathematical sequences that seemed nonsensical to traditional analysis became weapons of defense. Each transmission was a carefully crafted piece of a larger strategy. The first signs of success came unexpectedly. Alien ship systems began to show signs of disruption. Communication networks flickered and failed. The massive vessels that had seemed invincible now appeared vulnerable. A global network of researchers tracked the progress. What had begun as a defensive strategy was now becoming an offensive operation. Each successful disruption provided more information about the alien technology's core weaknesses. Space observation stations reported remarkable changes. The alien ships' movement patterns became erratic. Their previously precise formations began to break down. It was as if the very fabric of their technological communication was being unraveled. Dr. Kapoor's team discovered that human creativity was the ultimate weapon. The aliens' technology assumed predictable responses. Human communication was anything but predictable. Each transmission was a complex puzzle that defied traditional understanding. Indigenous communities contributed unique perspectives. Communication techniques developed over thousands of years provided unexpected insights. Traditional knowledge became a critical tool in understanding and disrupting the alien technology. The breakthrough came during a moment that would be remembered in human history. A coordinated global signal, combining mathematical sequences, cultural communications, and deliberately chaotic information patterns, struck the alien fleet's primary systems. For a moment, everything stopped. The massive alien ships hung motionless in the sky. Their previously impenetrable communication networks fell silent. The technology that had seemed so advanced moments before now appeared fragile and vulnerable. General Rodriguez watched the global communication networks. What he saw was more than a military victory. It was a demonstration of human potential. Every discipline, every perspective had contributed to this moment. Dr. Kapoor looked at her team and saw something remarkable. They had done more than defend the planet. They had demonstrated the true power of human creativity, collaboration, and unexpected thinking. The turning moment had arrived. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed the very nature of technological conflict. The alien fleet stood frozen, their systems in complete disarray, and humanity was just beginning to understand its true potential. The alien leadership watched in growing disbelief as their meticulously planned invasion began to unravel. Every strategic calculation, every technological advantage seemed to dissolve in the face of human unpredictability. What they had anticipated as a simple planetary conquest had become their greatest challenge. Commander Zornak reviewed the incoming reports, each more perplexing than the last. Human communication networks defied every known pattern of resistance. Where other civilizations had quickly capitulated, these humans seemed to grow more determined with each attempted assault. Global broadcasts began to take on a character the aliens could not comprehend. Artists created visual messages that challenged the very concepts of perception. Musicians developed sound frequencies that interfered with alien communication systems. Writers and poets turned language into a weapon of psychological warfare. In Tokyo, a group of performance artists began broadcasting elaborate, nonsensical performances that completely disrupted alien tracking systems. What seemed like random artistic expression was actually a carefully coordinated communication strategy. Each broadcast contained layers of mathematical and cultural information designed to confuse and destabilize the alien technology. Social media platforms transformed into global resistance networks. Memes became a form of psychological defense. Humor, satire, and creative expression turned the invasion into a global collaborative performance. The aliens found themselves confronted with a communication system that was simultaneously serious and absurd. Dr. Elena Rodriguez coordinated a global team of psychologists, linguists, and communication experts. They discovered that human communication was fundamentally different from the linear, logical systems the aliens expected. Metaphor, irony, and cultural nuance became weapons more powerful than any traditional defense. Universities around the world began studying the alien communication systems. What the invaders saw as weakness, humans recognized as strength. The ability to communicate through multiple layers of meaning, to use creativity as a defensive tool, became humanity's most powerful advantage. Indigenous communities shared communication techniques that had survived for thousands of years. Traditional storytelling methods, passed down through generations, provided insights into communication that transcended technological understanding. Each cultural tradition became a piece of the global resistance. The alien leadership watched in growing frustration. Their advanced scanning systems could not penetrate the complex human communication networks. Every attempt to understand human behavior failed. The more they tried to analyze, the more confused they became. Artistic communities around the world began coordinated broadcasts. Visual artists created images designed to challenge alien perception systems. Musicians developed sound frequencies that interfered with alien technology. Writers crafted narratives that existed simultaneously on multiple levels of meaning. Satellite networks transformed into platforms of cultural expression. Each transmission was a complex message that combined scientific information, artistic expression, and psychological complexity. The aliens found themselves unable to distinguish between communication, art, and defense. Research teams discovered that human creativity was the ultimate weapon. The aliens' technology assumed predictable responses. Human communication was anything but predictable. Each message was a puzzle, a challenge, a form of resistance that defied traditional understanding. Comedy became a critical tool of psychological warfare. Comedians around the world began broadcasting performances that completely dismantled the aliens' understanding of human communication. Humor, irony, and satire became weapons more powerful than any traditional defense. The global resistance moved beyond traditional concepts of communication. Every cultural expression became a potential weapon. Dance performances interfered with alien tracking systems. Literary works contained complex mathematical sequences. Musical compositions became forms of communication that transcended traditional language. Dr. Rodriguez watched the global communication networks and saw something remarkable. Humanity had transformed the very concept of resistance. Communication was no longer just about exchanging information. It had become a form of creative expression, a way of challenging the very foundations of the alien invasion. The alien leadership began to fracture. Their unified command structure could not comprehend an enemy that did not follow any recognizable pattern of resistance. Each human response was unique, unpredictable, a challenge to everything they understood about planetary conquest. Commander Zornak realized something terrifying. They were not just facing a technological challenge. They were confronting a form of intelligence that defied everything in their extensive galactic experience. Humanity had turned communication into an art form of resistance. Every broadcast, every performance, every piece of creative expression was a weapon more powerful than any traditional technology. The psychological collapse had begun, and the aliens had no idea how to respond. The last alien ship disappeared into the vastness of space, leaving behind a transformed planet. Humanity stood changed, having faced an existential threat, and emerged not just surviving, but fundamentally reimagined. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood on the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching the receding alien fleet. The global communication networks that had been humanity's greatest weapon now became tools of reconstruction and understanding. Universities around the world began intense research into the technologies discovered during the invasion. Every piece of alien equipment became a potential breakthrough for human scientific understanding. Research teams from every discipline collaborated with unprecedented enthusiasm. The global cooperation that had begun during the invasion continued to reshape human society. National boundaries seemed less important. The shared experience of resistance had created a planetary identity that transcended previous divisions. In research centers across the continents, scientists worked to understand the alien technologies. Dr. Rodriguez's team discovered that the invaders' quantum communication systems contained principles that could revolutionize human understanding of information transfer, energy production, and space exploration. The economic impact was equally profound. Industries that had rapidly transformed during the invasion now became leaders in global innovation. Manufacturing capabilities developed for planetary defense found peaceful applications in sustainable technologies, medical research, and space exploration. Educational systems underwent a radical transformation. Interdisciplinary thinking became the new standard. Schools and universities redesigned curricula to emphasize creativity, adaptive problem-solving, and collaborative research. The skills that had saved humanity became the foundation of a new approach to learning. Indigenous knowledge systems gained unprecedented recognition. The traditional survival techniques, communication methods, and adaptive strategies that had proven crucial during the invasion were now studied and celebrated globally. Cultural diversity became recognized as a critical form of planetary resilience. Space exploration programs received massive global support. The technologies developed to resist the alien invasion now provided humanity with unprecedented capabilities for understanding the universe. Every research center became a potential gateway to new discoveries. Environmental research took on new significance. The adaptive technologies developed during the invasion found applications in climate change mitigation, sustainable energy, and ecological preservation. Humanity's survival strategy became a model for planetary resilience. Global communication networks remained as complex and adaptive as they had been during the invasion. The system of shared information, rapid collaboration, and creative problem-solving became a permanent feature of human civilization. Art and culture underwent a renaissance. The creative approaches that had proven so effective during the invasion became celebrated forms of expression. Museums created entire exhibitions exploring how creativity had become humanity's most powerful defense. Military strategies were completely reimagined. The concept of defense was no longer about traditional warfare, but about adaptive, collaborative problem-solving. Every branch of defense research emphasized creativity, communication, and interdisciplinary thinking. Dr. Rodriguez reflected on the fundamental change that had occurred. Humanity had discovered something profound about itself. They were not just a collection of nations or cultures, but a single, incredibly adaptive species capable of extraordinary things when united. The technologies recovered from the alien invasion began to transform human capabilities. Quantum communication systems developed during the resistance became the foundation of a new era of global communication. Energy production technologies promised to solve long-standing environmental challenges. International cooperation reached unprecedented levels. The global networks established during the invasion became permanent structures of scientific and cultural exchange. Every major challenge became an opportunity for collaborative problem-solving. Space exploration programs received massive funding and support. The technologies developed to resist the invasion now provided humanity with unprecedented capabilities for understanding the universe. Research centers around the world began preparing for humanity's next great adventure. A message was prepared and broadcast into deep space. It was not a threat, but an invitation. A complex communication that demonstrated humanity's unique capabilities. A signal that said, "We are here. We are ready. We are different." The alien invasion had been more than a moment of crisis. It had been a transformation. Humanity had discovered its true potential, not as a collection of separate nations, but as a single, incredibly adaptive species capable of extraordinary things. Commander Zornak's final transmission echoed in research centers around the world. Humanity is not a civilization to be conquered. They are a force of nature. And humanity was just beginning to understand its own potential.